Shalom, shalom, shalom. Most High in Christ bless to everyone. Happy Sabbath to you all. Today is July 9th, and here we are ready for another exciting Sabbath. With no further ado, we're going to get into the reading of the laws like we always do. Be reminded to watch the entire video, watch it all the way to the end, share this video with family and friends, share with enemies that they might learn something as well, and have their minds changed. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, and here we go. Here we go. The laws, Ecclesiasticus chapter 39, verse 1. But he that giveth his mind to the law of the Most High, and is occupied in the meditation thereof, will seek out the wisdom of all the ancient, and be occupied in prophecies. He will keep the sayings of the renowned men, and where subtle parables are, he will be there also. He will seek out the secrets of grave sentences, and be conversant in dark parables. He shall serve among great men, and appear before princes. He will travel through strange countries, for he hath tried the good and the evil among men. To examine the signs of fowl, to distinguish between kosher and non-kosher. Deuteronomy chapter 14, verse 11. Of all clean birds ye shall eat. To examine the signs of fish, to distinguish between kosher and non-kosher. Leviticus chapter 11, verse 9. These shall ye eat of all that are in the waters, whatsoever hath fins and scales in the waters. In the seas and in the rivers, them shall ye eat. To examine the signs of locusts, to distinguish between kosher and non-kosher. Leviticus chapter 11, verse 21. Yet these may ye eat of every flying creeping thing that goeth upon all four, which have legs above their feet, to leap withal upon the earth. Not to eat non-kosher animals. Leviticus chapter 11, verse 4. Nevertheless, these shall ye not eat of them that chew the cud, or of them that divide the hoof, as the camel, because he cheweth the cud, but divideth not the hoof, he is unclean unto you. Not to eat non-kosher fowl. Leviticus chapter 11, verse 13. And these are they which ye shall have an abomination among the fowls. They shall not be eaten. They are an abomination, the eagle, and the ostrich, and the osprey. Not to eat non-kosher fish. Leviticus chapter 11, verse 11. They shall be even an abomination unto you. Ye shall not eat of their flesh, but ye shall have their carcasses in abomination. Not to eat non-kosher flying insects. Deuteronomy chapter 14, verse 19. And every creeping thing that flieth is unclean unto you. They shall not be eaten. Not to eat non-kosher creatures that crawl on land. Leviticus chapter 11, verse 41. And every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth shall be an abomination, it shall not be eaten. Not to eat non-kosher maggots, Leviticus chapter 11, verse 44. For I am the Lord your God. Ye shall therefore sanctify yourselves, and ye shall be holy, for I am holy. Neither shall ye defile yourselves with any manner of creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth. Not to eat worms found in fruit on the ground, Leviticus chapter 11, verse 42. Whatsoever goeth upon the belly, and whatsoever goeth upon all four, or whatsoever hath more feet among all creeping things that creep upon the earth, them ye shall not eat, for they are an abomination. Not to eat creatures that live in water other than kosher fish, Leviticus chapter 11, verse 43. Ye shall not make yourselves abominable with any creeping thing that creepeth, neither shall ye make yourselves unclean with them, that ye should be defiled thereby. Not to eat the meat of an animal that died without ritual slaughter, Deuteronomy chapter 14, verse 21. Ye shall not eat of anything that dieth of itself. Thou shalt give it unto the stranger that is in thy gates, that he may eat it, or thou mayest sell it unto an alien. For thou art an holy people unto the Lord thy God. Thou shalt not seethe a kid in his mother's milk. Not to benefit from an ox condemned to be stoned, Exodus chapter 21, verse 28. If an ox gore a man or a woman that they die, then the ox shall be surely stoned, and his flesh shall not be eaten, but the owner of the ox shall be quit. Meat of an animal that was mortally wounded, Exodus chapter 22, verse 30. Likewise shalt thou do with thine ox and with thy sheep. 7 days it shall be with the dam. On the 8th day thou shalt give it me, a dam, a mother, as the bond of the family, in a wide sense, both literally and figuratively, like father. Not to eat a limb torn off a living creature, Exodus chapter 22, verse 31. And ye shall be holy men unto me, neither shall ye eat any flesh that is torn of beasts in the field. Ye shall cast it to the dogs. Not to eat blood, Leviticus chapter 3, verse 17. It shall be a perpetual statute for your generations throughout all your dwellings, that ye eat neither fat nor blood. Not to eat the fat of animals, Leviticus chapter 3, verse 17. It shall be a perpetual statute for your generations throughout all your dwellings, that ye eat neither fat, eat the sinew of the thigh. Genesis chapter 32, verse 32. Therefore, the children of Israel eat not of the sinew which shrank, which is upon the hollow of the thigh unto this day, because he touched the hollow of Jacob's thigh and the sinew that shrank. Not to eat young goats or sheep, generally from birth to 6 months. Exodus chapter 23, verse 19. The first of the first fruits of thy land thou shalt bring into the house of the Lord thy God. Thou shalt not see the kid in his mother's milk. Not to eat young goats or sheep, generally from birth to 6 months. Exodus chapter 23, verse 19. The first of the first fruits of thy land thou shalt bring into the house of the Lord thy God. Thou shalt not see the kid in his mother's milk. Not to eat bread from new grain before the Omer. Leviticus chapter 23, verse 14. And ye shall eat neither bread nor parched corn, nor green ears until the selfsame day that ye have brought an offering unto your God. It shall be a statute forever throughout your generations in all your dwellings. not to eat parched grains from new grain before the armor. Leviticus chapter 23, verse 14. And ye shall eat neither bread nor parched corn, nor green ears until the selfsame day that ye have brought an offering unto your God. It shall be a statute forever throughout your generations in all your dwellings. Not to eat ripened grains from new grain before the omer. Leviticus chapter 23, verse 14. And ye shall eat neither bread nor parched corn, nor green ears until the selfsame day that ye have brought an offering unto your God. It shall be a statute forever throughout your generations in all your dwellings. Not to eat fruit of a tree during its first 3 years. Leviticus chapter 19, verse 23. And when ye shall come into the land, and shall have planted all manner of trees for food, then ye shall count the fruit thereof as uncircumcised. 3 years shall it be as uncircumcised unto you. It shall not be eaten of. Not to eat diverse seeds planted in a vineyard. Deuteronomy chapter 22, verse 9. Thou shalt not sow thy vineyard with diverse seeds, lest the fruit of thy seed which thou hast sown and the fruit of thy vineyard be defiled. Not to eat untithed fruits. Leviticus chapter 22, verse 15. And they shall not profane the holy things of the children of Israel, which they offer unto the Lord. Not to drink wine poured in service to idols. Deuteronomy chapter 32, verse 38. Which did eat the fat of their sacrifices and drank the wine of their drink offering. Let them rise up and help you and be your protection. To ritually slaughter an animal before eating it. Deuteronomy chapter 12, verse 21. If the place which the Lord thy God hath chosen to put his name there be too far from thee, then thou shalt kill of the herd and of the flock which the Lord hath given thee, as I commanded thee, and thou shalt eat in thy gates whatsoever thy soul lusteth after. Not to slaughter an animal and its offspring on the same day. Leviticus chapter 22, verse 28. And whether it be cow or ewe, ye shall not kill it, and her young both in one day. To cover the blood of a slaughtered beast or fowl with earth. Leviticus chapter 17, verse 13. And whatsoever man there be of the children of Israel, or of the strangers that sojourn among you, which hunteth and catcheth any beast or fowl that may be eaten, ye shall even pour out the blood thereof, and cover it with dust. To send away the mother bird before taking its children. Deuteronomy chapter 22, verse 6. If a bird's nest chance to be before thee in the way in any tree or on ground, whether they be young ones or eggs, and the dam sitting upon the young or upon the eggs, thou shalt not take the dam with the young. To release the mother bird if she has taken from the nest. Deuteronomy chapter 22, verse 7. But thou shalt in any wise let the dam go, and take the young to thee, that it may be well with thee, and that thou mayest prolong thy days. Not to swear falsely in God's name. Leviticus chapter 19, verse 12. And ye shall not swear by my name falsely, neither shalt thou profane the name of thy God. I am the Lord. Not to take God's name in vain. Exodus chapter 20, verse 7. Thou shalt not take the name of the Lord thy God in vain, for the Lord will not hold him guiltless that taketh his name in vain. Not to deny possession of something entrusted to you. Leviticus chapter 19, verse 11. You shall not steal, neither deal falsely, neither lie one to another. Not to swear in denial of a monetary claim. Leviticus chapter 19, verse 11. You shall not steal, neither deal falsely, neither lie one to another. To swear in God's name, to confirm the truth when deemed necessary by court. Deuteronomy chapter 10, verse 20. Thou shalt fear the Lord thy God. Him shalt thou serve, and to him shalt thou cleave and swear by his name. To fulfill what was uttered and to do what was avowed. Deuteronomy chapter 23, verse 24. When thou comest into thy neighbor's vineyard, then thou mayest eat grapes thy field at thine own pleasure, but thou shalt not put any in thy vessel. Not to break oaths or vows. Numbers chapter 30, verse 3. If a woman also vow a vow unto the Lord, and bind herself by a bond, being in her father's house in her youth. For oaths and vows annulled, there are the laws of annulling vows explicit in the Torah. Numbers chapter 30, verse 3. If a woman also vow a vow unto the Lord, and bind herself by a bond, being in her father's house in her youth. The Nazarite must let his hair grow. Numbers chapter 6, verse 5. All the days of the vow of his separation, there shall no razor come upon his head until the days be fulfilled, in which he separated himself unto the Lord. He shall be holy, and shall let the locks of the hair of his head grow. The Nazarite must not cut his hair. Numbers chapter 6, verse 5. All the days of the vow of his separation, there shall no razor come upon his head until the days be fulfilled in which he separated himself unto the Lord. He shall be holy, and shall let the locks of the hair of his head grow. The Nazarite must not drink wine, wine mixtures, or wine vinegar. Numbers chapter 6, verse 3. He shall separate himself from wine and strong drink, and shall drink no vinegar of wine, or vinegar of strong drink. Neither shall he drink any liquor of grapes, nor eat moist grapes or dry. The Nazarite must not eat fresh grapes. Numbers chapter 6, verse 3. He shall separate himself from wine and strong drink. He shall drink no vinegar of wine, or vinegar of strong drink. Neither shall he drink any liquor of grapes, nor eat moist grapes or dry. The Nazarite must not eat raisins. Numbers chapter 6, verse 3. He shall separate himself from wine and strong drink, and shall not drink vinegar of wine, or vinegar of strong drink. Neither shall he drink any liquor of grapes, nor eat moist grapes or dry. The Nazarite must not eat raisins. Numbers chapter 6, verse 4. All the days of his separation shall he eat nothing that is made of the vine tree, from the kernels even to the husk. The Nazarite must not eat grape skins. Numbers chapter 6, verse 4. All the days of his separation shall he eat nothing that is made of the vine tree, from the kernels even to the husk. The Nazarite must not be under the same roof as a corpse. Numbers chapter 6, verse 6. All the days that he separated himself unto the Lord, he shall come at no dead body. The Nazarite must not come into contact with the dead. Numbers chapter 6, verse 7. He shall not make himself unclean for his father, or for his mother, for his brother, or for his sister, when they die, because the consecration of his God is upon his head. The Nazarite must shave his head after bringing sacrifices upon completion of his Nazarite period. Numbers chapter 6, verse 9. And if any man die very suddenly by him, and he hath defiled the head of his consecration, then he shall shave his head in the day of his cleansing. On the seventh day shall he shave it. To estimate the value of people as determined by the Torah. Leviticus chapter 27, verse 2. Speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them, when a man shall make a singular vow, the persons shall be for the Lord by thy estimation. To estimate the value of consecrated animals. Leviticus chapter 27, verse 12. And the priest shall value it, whether it be good or bad, as thou valuest it. Who art the priest, so shall it be. But if he will at all redeem it, then he shall add a fifth part thereof unto thy estimation. To estimate the value of consecrated houses. Leviticus chapter 27, verse 14. And when a man shall sanctify his house to be holy unto the Lord, then the priest shall estimate it, whether it be good or bad, as the priest shall estimate it, so shall it stand. To estimate the value of consecrated fields. Leviticus chapter 27, verse 16. And if a man shall sanctify unto the Lord some part of a field or his possession, then thy estimation shall be according to the seed thereof. An omer of barley seed shall be valued at 50 shekels of silver. 2:30 next week. Okay. So today's topic is called After the Rain. After the Rain. Okay. So let's start with this news article. Okay. So it says, smiling teens caught on camera killing elderly man with traffic cone, cops say. Okay. So let me show this video. Let me pause this 1 second. Show it from a different computer. And then we're gonna read a little bit about it. So this is silent reward, or a silent video. Apparently, I thought I had one that had sound on it.
Okay.
So we're gonna. It says on Friday, June 24th. On Friday, June 24th, at approximately 2:38 a.m. in the 2100 block of Cecil B. Moore Avenue, a 72-year-old male victim was attacked by 4 black male and 3 black male female teen offenders. The teen struck the victim several times with objects, knocking the victim to the ground, causing injuries to his head. The victim was transported to the hospital where he died of his injuries the following day. The offenders are described as 4 black males and 3 black females who appear to be in their early to mid-teens. There might be some sound in here. I don't know. Let's see. And one little boy filming it.
They actually think they having fun, man. Look at that. It's crazy.
Okay. Let's go to the article that talks about this.
Proverbs chapter 1.
All right. It says, sickening video released by Philadelphia police shows a group of teens smile and record as they beat an elderly man to death with traffic cones. The man, identified by local TV station NBC 10 as James Lambert, was taken to the hospital early June 24th, but died the following day from his head injuries, police said. Cops said Lambert was 72 years old, while the local outlet reported he was 73. None of the 7 involved in the beatdown, 4 boys and 3 girls, had been arrested as of Friday morning. But police hope the newly released video and a reward of $20,000 for information will generate leads in the investigation. The video from security cameras on a street in northern Philadelphia shows the alleged attackers laughing and recording on their cell phones as they chase the man across the street and strike him with traffic cones. Okay. Police blurred out the victim in the video, but it's apparent the 72-year-old was trying to get away from the teens just before he was attacked. After the final blow was captured on camera, a young girl appears to cover her mouth in horror as she walks toward the victim. Others soon follow, with one boy leaving the view of the camera while smiling on the scooter. Okay, and we'll stop it right there. Get Isaiah chapter 51, verse 20. Isaiah chapter 51, verse 20.
It's the book of Isaiah, chapter 51, and verse 20. Can you hear me good enough?
Yes, sir.
Thy sons have fainted. They lie at the head of all the streets, as a wild bull in a net. They are full of the fury of the Lord.
They're full of the fury of the Lord.
The rebuke of thy God.
The rebuke of thy God, right? So this is the state of our people, the children of Israel, the young ones. The young ones. This is news that just happened yesterday morning. If I'm not mistaken, that was yesterday, or no, I think the date on that was June 22nd. But it's very recent. It's extremely recent. Okay. Get 2nd Esdras chapter 5, verse 8.
The book of 2nd Esdras, chapter 5, and verse 8. There shall be a confusion also in many places, and the fire shall be up, sent out again, and the wild beasts shall change their places, and menstruous women shall bring forth monsters.
And menstruous women shall bring forth monsters. Those children are monsters. And that's what we're dealing with. That's what we're dealing with. The depravity of our people.
Let's pray.
So I want to look at some trials that the Bible has recorded for us. Some different trials that the Bible has recorded. Okay. And these trials represent the rain.
Okay.
These trials represent the rain. Remember, the class topic, the title is called After the Rain. Go to Genesis. First person we're going to look at is Joseph. Go to Genesis chapter 50 and verse 20.
The book of Genesis, chapter 50, and verse 20. But as for you, ye thought evil against me, but God meant it unto good, to bring to pass, as it is this day, to save much people alive.
To save much people alive. So we know the story of Joseph. We're going to look at some of the bullet points of the story of Joseph, especially for those who may not be familiar with the story of Joseph. But at the end of it all, Joseph said to his brothers, he said, "What you thought evil against me. I went through all this hardship. You thought evil. God meant it for good. God meant it for good." Okay. Just as what we just saw in the video, the old man. Go to Wisdom of Solomon.
Wisdom of Solomon.
Bear with me. I didn't write this one down.
Okay.
Chapter 5, start at verse 1.
The book of Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 5 and verse 1. Then shall the righteous man stand in great boldness before the face of such as have afflicted him.
That man lost his life. Those young folks afflicted him unto death. Unto death. Read.
And made no account of his labors. When they see it, they shall be troubled with terrible fear, and shall be amazed at the strangers of the salvation.
Of his salvation. Now, I don't know nothing about that man. I don't know whether or not that man was walking in the truth or what have you. But the strangeness of his salvation to those that have repented, to those that are walking in the truth, the reality is this: the strangeness of your salvation is that everlasting life is promised to you. Everlasting life is promised to you. Keep reading.
And so far beyond all that they look for. Want me to read that from the beginning?
Yeah.
Okay. It's verse 2. Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 5 and verse 2. When they see it, they shall be troubled with terrible fear, and shall be amazed at the strangeness of his salvation, so far beyond all that they look for. And they repenting and groaning for anguish of spirit shall say within themselves, this was he whom he had sometime in derision and a proverb of reproach. Oh, read on.
Yeah, come on.
We fools account his life madness, and his end to be without honor.
And his end to be without honor. So just as Joseph, now they didn't afflict Joseph unto death, but they did afflict Joseph, and he went through these different hardships. Okay, so let's look at some of these hardships that Joseph experienced. Go to, so write this down. Write down jealousy. Write down jealousy. Go to Genesis chapter 37. We're going to start at verse 4.
Say that one more time. Genesis chapter 7, verse 4.
Genesis chapter 37, verse 4.
Thank you. It's the book of Genesis, chapter 37, and verse 4. And when his brethren saw that their father loved him more than all his brethren, they hated him and could not speak peaceably unto him.
They could not speak peaceably unto him. They hated him. Why? Because from their perspective, daddy loved you more than daddy loved me. I got a problem with you, chump. I don't like you. So there's this jealousy, this hatred. Okay. Go to Genesis chapter 37, verse 18.
The book of Genesis chapter 37 and verse 18. And when they saw him afar off, even before he came near unto them, they conspired against him to slay him.
Look at that. So they have in mind to do away with him. And that's how it is. Sometimes, now what we didn't read, we'll go back and read it. Go back to verse 5 so I can make the point.
The book of Genesis chapter 37 and verse 5. And Joseph dreamed a dream, and he told it his brethren, and they hated him yet the more. And he said unto them, hear, I pray you, this dream which I have dreamed. For behold, we were binding sheaves in the field, and lo, my sheaf arose, and also stood upright. And behold, your sheaves stood round about, and made obsessions to my sheaf. And his brethren said to him, shalt thou indeed reign over us? Or shalt thou indeed have dominion over us? And they hated him yet the more for his dreams and for his words.
So Joseph had these dreams of he becoming a great leader. So not only does daddy favor you, Negro, you saying that you're going to be a leader over us? All the more, I can't stand you. So there's this hatred. And that's how it can go even among our peers. Folks will have this jealousy because they see the greatness in you. and they don't like that greatness that's in you.
Right,
and
right.
They themselves don't possess that greatness. You know, and so that creates jealousy. What did you say? Okay. Joseph continues to dream to the end where he even sees himself being a great leader above and beyond his parents. So again, this creates this jealousy. We read did you read verse 20?
Yes.
Read verse 20 again.
The book of Genesis, chapter 37 and verse 20. Come now, therefore, and let us slay him and cast him into some pit, and we will say, some evil beast had devoured him, and we shall see what will become of his dreams.
And we shall slay him. So you're going to have some folks whose intention is to kill you, to do away with you, cause you to lose your job, cause you to lose your life, destroy your family, all because of jealousy. All because of jealousy. And these are the things that we experience even now. Go to Psalms chapter 76, verse 10.
What do you say?
Psalms chapter 76, verse 10. I think, let me do the reading because there's a great deal of feedback.
You still here?
Yeah. So I'm gonna mute you. Yeah. So let's go to Psalms 76, verse 10. And this is in respect, we're going to Psalm 76, verse 10, in respect to Genesis chapter 50, verse 20. In respect to Genesis chapter 50, verse 20, where it said, but God meant it unto good. So this jealousy that you have, okay, no problem. God means it unto good. So Psalms chapter 76, verse 10. Surely the wrath of man shall praise thee. The remainder of wrath shalt thou restrain. The wrath of man shall praise thee. So God is going to get the glory in this. Just like in the story of Joseph, Joseph said, hey, all of this was to save countless lives. All the evil that you did, God meant it for the purpose of saving countless lives. Okay, so surely the wrath of man shall praise thee. The remainder of wrath shalt thou restrain. Go to Psalms 119, verse 71. Psalms 119, verse 71. It is good for me that I have been afflicted, that I might learn thy statutes. You don't think being in that dungeon, being cast away from his family, Joseph, that he didn't do a whole lot of reflecting, a whole lot of questioning, asking God, Lord, what's going on? That he didn't find some text or some folks to try to converse with, to try to get some understanding? Sure he did. Certainly he did. So when we go through these hardships, instead of looking at it as woe is me, another approach would be, okay, what can I extract from this that I may grow spiritually, that I may prosper spiritually as a result of what I'm going through? Okay, so it is good for me that I have been afflicted, that I might learn thy statutes. Okay, so here's another thing that Joseph experienced when he was going through his hardships: adulteries and evil imaginations. Adulteries and evil imaginations. Write that down. Adulteries and evil imaginations. We're going to go to Genesis chapter 39, verse 7. Genesis chapter 39, verse 7. And it came to pass after these things that his master's wife cast her eye upon Joseph, and she said, lie with me. So here this woman, she see him, and she want to get it on with him. But he refused and said unto his master's wife, behold, my master wotteth not what is with me in the house, and he hath committed all that he hath to my hand. There is none greater in this house than I, neither hath he kept back anything from me but thee, because thou art his wife. How then can I do this great wickedness and sin against God? So Joseph's integrity was all the way up here. He told the woman, he said, I can't do this. Not with you. Your husband has made me the top man in the house over all his affairs. And you the one thing I can't touch. I don't intend to touch you and jeopardize the relationship that I have with your husband. No, I'm not going to do that. Verse 10. And it came to pass, as she spake to Joseph day by day, that he hearkened not unto her to lie by her or to be with her. So not just once did she make advances at him. It says day by day, she was making advances at him. Walking up on him, speaking sweet nothings, looking at him, rubbing a hand across his chest, and so on and so forth. And he's like, look, stop. Verse 11. And it came to pass about this time that Joseph went into the house to do his business, and there was none of the men of the house there within. And she caught him by his garment, saying, lie with me. And he left his garment in her hand and fled and got him out. And it came to pass, when she saw that he had left his garment in her hand, and he was fled forth. So here she comes, and she's getting very aggressive at this point, where she's taking off the garment. He gets out of Dodge. He said, I ain't going for that. I ain't falling for that. No, peace. And he left. So adulteries and evil imagination. Sometimes you're going to have folks, a woman with a man with a woman, who they after their own lustful desires, and they don't care what damage it causes you. Okay. They don't care what damage that it causes you. So with this, I want to go to 2 Peter chapter 2, verse 14. 2 Peter chapter 2, verse 14. Okay, go to 2 Peter chapter 2, verse 14.
It's the book of 2 Peter, chapter 2, in verse 14. Having eyes full of adultery, and that cannot cease from sin, beguiling unstable souls, and heart they have exercised with covetous practices first, children.
Right? They have unstable souls, and heart they are exercised with covetous practices, cursed children. And this is how we do among our own people. We don't care that she's married to some brother. I don't care. I want to get mine. I don't care that he got a wife and children at home. I don't care. I want to get mine. As a matter of fact, if I can get mine, I can get that brother to come take care of my problems. He a sucker anyway, right? This becomes the mindset of our people. So I want to look at this article. Look at this article. So the title of this article is 5 Common Problems Faced by African Americans Today. In particular, I want to look at number one. Number one. Okay. It says number one. Lack of family structure. Lack of family structure. Hopefully that's a little bit better. Yeah. According to a 2002 study, 70% of all African American children were illegitimate, and that number rose from 23.6% back in 1963, because that was the year when welfare became a right according to the Constitution, which made having husbands redundant. Mm-hmm. Too many African American families grow up without a father figure in the house, which often leads to psychological issues later in life. So this is some of the issues that even that Joseph was combating. And Joseph was like, no, woman, go on. I can't do that with you. And so here is another one. I want to look at Yeah, that was the only one that I wanted to look at, was number 1. Okay. All right. Write this down. Lied on. Joseph was lied on. Write that down. Go to Genesis chapter 39, and we're going to read verses 14 through 19.
The book of Genesis chapter 39, verse 14.
A little closer to the mic if you can.
Is this better?
There you go.
The book of Genesis, chapter 39, and verse 14. That she called unto the men of the house of her house, and spake unto them, saying, See, he hath brought in an Hebrew unto us to mock us. He came in unto me to lie with me, and I cried with a loud voice. And it came to pass, when he heard that I lifted up my voice and cried, that he lifted his garment with me and fled and got him out. And she laid up his garment by her until his Lord came home. And she spake unto him according to these words, saying, The Hebrew servant which thou hast brought unto us came in unto me to mock me. And it came to pass, as I lifted up my voice and cried, that he left his garment with me and fled out.
One more, verse 19.
Verse 19. And it came to pass, when his master heard the words of his wife, which she spake unto him, saying, After this manner did the servant to me that
did thy servant to me,
did thy servant to me, that his wrath was kindled.
That his wrath was kindled. So now the Potiphar is angry with Joseph because she lied. She lied on the man. And why does she lie? Because she couldn't get her way with him. She could have easily, when he fled, she could have easily just dismissed it. She could have tried again another day. Nope. Her lustful mind, her covetous mind was so consumed that when he fled, she said, oh, nah, this ain't going down like this. You ain't gonna give me what I want? Okay. I'm fine then. Let me lie on you. Let me get you in trouble. How dare you not give me what I want? And that's how people will be with you. Go to Psalms chapter 35, verse 11. Psalms chapter 35, verse 11.
Book of Psalms, chapter 35, verse 11. It's the book of Psalms, chapter 35, in verse 11. False witness did rise up. They laid to my charge things that I knew not.
That I knew not. Things I didn't even know. I don't know what you're talking about. That wasn't me. You fit the description. All blacks look alike. That wasn't me. You got someone that'll verify that you were not here on the night of the 10th? That wasn't me. Go to Psalms chapter 55, verse 3.
The book of Psalms, chapter 55, and verse 3. Because of the voice of the enemy, because of the oppression of the wicked, for they cast iniquity upon me. And in wrath, they hate me.
And in wrath, they hate me. So it doesn't matter what you say. As I understand the story of Oklahoma, you know, that woman came off the elevator lying on him, saying that he had spoke inappropriately to her or something like that. But all these were lies.
Mm.
All of this was lies because of hatred. Hatred of an enemy. Go to Matthew chapter 26, verse 59.
Matthew chapter 26, I'm sorry, and 59. Now the chief priests and elders and all the council sought false witness against Jesus to put him to death.
To put him to death. So here you had against Christ, you had the chief priests and the elders seeking out false witnesses, some folks that will corroborate their story. You were there, weren't you? Weren't you there? No, I wasn't. Sure you were. We know you were. We just need you to say that this happened. This happened and that happened.
We'll let you go home.
And then you go home.
Right.
Then you can go home. Go to Luke chapter 23, verse 2.
The book of Luke, chapter 23, and verse 2. And they began to accuse him, saying, we found this fellow perverting the nation and forbidding to give tribute to Caesar, saying that he himself is Christ, a king.
See? Further lies on Christ. And they do the same thing this day against any and everybody, but really us. A whole lot us. And we'll see that in a moment. As a matter of fact, we're going to see it right now. Let me share this article with you. Okay. This is an article. This is a recent article too. This article is June 28th, so a week ago. What's the title? Man falsely accused of shooting deputies sues over posts on Facebook and Twitter. Here's the guy right here. Here he is. Okay. Darnell Hicks says he's still haunted by the day nearly 2 years ago when strangers on the internet suddenly began sharing his photo and home address, falsely accusing him of being a cop killer who needed to be hunted down. 2 sheriff's deputies had just been gravely wounded at a Compton train station, and Hicks' name, picture, and home address were suddenly bouncing around social media. In one case, the administrator of a Lakewood crime awareness Facebook group with about 14,000 members posted Hicks' photo and said, "Let's find this cockroach and get him off the street ASAP." according to a libel lawsuit Hicks is now pursuing. Then admin added that Hicks was an Avalon Gardens gang member, was armed and dangerous, and that he has vowed to shoot more law enforcement officers. But according to Hicks, none of those assertions were true. In reality, Hicks said all this was unfolding while he was at the transitional housing program where he works as a client aide. When he first saw the pictures identifying him as a suspect, Hicks thought it was a joke. Soon, though, Hicks says he was inundated with social media notifications and text messages accusing him of the crime, along with curses, racial slurs, and death threats. Later that night, the sheriff's department refuted the rumors, saying on Twitter that they hadn't yet identified a suspect, and the posts mentioning Hicks were erroneous. But almost 2 years later, how Hicks ended up being falsely accused remains a mystery to him, even though he says the damage it caused follows him to this day. You Google my name now, and this thing comes up, Hicks said during a recent phone interview. It's crazy how this happened. How did they get me? Hicks is suing several people and companies he says helped spread the false information. The federal lawsuit filed in September 2021 names the admin of the Lakewood Facebook group a woman in Riverside County and a Malaysian national, as well as Facebook and Twitter, for hosting the information on their platforms. Hicks' lawsuit also includes the state of California as a defendant for allegedly allowing someone to access and disseminate his personal information. He is seeking unspecified damages to cover the harm he says the social media posts caused. The lawsuit says it's not clear who originally posted Hicks' information or why, but his attorneys have some idea about how it spread, which they laid out in court documents. Okay. And so that's what this man is dealing with. That's what he's dealing with in terms of false accusations. Okay. Let's go and get Matthew chapter 5, verse 11. Matthew chapter 5, verse 11.
Book of Matthew, chapter 5, and verse 11. Blessed are ye when men shall revile
you.
Blessed are ye when men shall revile you and persecute you, and shall say all manner of evil against you falsely for my sake.
So now, to that brother, I'm sure if I was in his shoes, I wouldn't be, I'd be like, man, this don't feel good right here. If I was this brother, it don't feel good what I'm dealing with. But here we have the scripture saying, blessed are ye when men shall revile you. Mm-hmm. So now I have to, if I'm gonna believe this Bible, I have to accept what this Bible is saying. So this brother, it says blessed. Now, I don't see signs of he walking in the truth. Preferably, this brother will come to the truth, and start walking as he is supposed to, according to the truth. Okay, go to Luke chapter 6, verse 22.
book of Luke, chapter 6, and verse 22. Blessed are ye when men shall hate you, and when they shall separate you from their company, and shall reproach you, and cast out your name as evil, for the Son of Man's sake.
For the Son of Man's sake. So they will have no fellowship with you because you believe in this book right here. All right, that brother Lane, you know, he holier than thou, always talking that Bible stuff. When y'all was kicking it at the gentleman's club and getting blazed up at nighttime and whatnot, you know, everybody was your friend. When you was buying drinks for everybody was your friend. Now you turned a new leaf. Now they don't rock with you no more. You know, now your wisdom is no longer wisdom. Now you talk like a fool to them. Okay. Go to Isaiah chapter 51, verse 7.
Isaiah chapter 51 and verse 7. The book of Isaiah chapter 51 and verse 7. Hearken unto me, ye that know righteousness, the people in whose heart is my law. Fear ye not the reproach of men, neither be ye afraid of their revelings.
Neither be afraid of their revelings. Revilings. I'm sorry, revilings. Neither be afraid of their revilings. And they revile you. Okay. Who is he speaking to? It says, the people in whose heart is my law. That's who he's speaking to. Those of you who are walking in truth. Everything gonna be good. It's gonna be good. It ain't gonna always smell peachy. Sometimes we're gonna smell some doo-doo. But as we can get through that doo-doo is what this passage is telling us. Don't fear the stench of that mess. Go to 1 Peter chapter 4, verse 14. 1 Peter chapter 4, verse 14.
Book of 1 Peter chapter 4 and verse 14. Book of 1 Peter chapter 4 and verse 14. If ye be reproached for the name of Christ, happy are ye. The spirit of glory and of God rested upon you. On their part he is evil spoken of, but on your part he is glorified.
See that? So, yeah, on their part, you wicked as all get out. They can't stand you because you always talking this Bible. But to God, it says he's glorified. So this is a beautiful thing. Christ is happy because you keeping the commandments. You doing exactly what you're supposed to do. Okay. Write this down. Wrongful conviction. Wrongful conviction. So Joseph, Potiphar's wife lied on him. Potiphar was angry at him. Go to Genesis chapter 39 and verse 20.
What is it?
Genesis 39:20.
The book of Genesis, chapter 39, and verse 20. And Joseph's master took him and put him into the prison, a place where the king's prisoners were bound. And he was there in the prison.
And he was there in the prison. All because of this woman. She couldn't have her way. Joseph's integrity stayed intact. And because of his because he maintained his integrity, she lied on him. He's thrown in jail. Go to Psalms chapter 40, verse 15.
The book of Psalms, chapter 40, and verse 15.
Genesis chapter 40, verse 15. Genesis chapter 40, verse 15. My apologies.
The book of Genesis, chapter 40, and verse 15. For indeed I was stolen away out of the land of the Hebrews. And here also have I done nothing that they should put me into the dungeon.
I've done nothing that they should put me into the dungeon. And that, according to the account, that's the truth of the matter. Joseph did nothing to be thrown into prison. Go to Psalms 105. We're going to read verse 18 and 19. Psalms 105, 18 and 19.
The book of Psalms, chapter 105, and verse 18. Whose feet they hurt with feathers. He was laid in iron.
So fetters are the shackles. That's what fetters are. Fetters are shackles. Read.
Whose feet they hurt with fetters. He was laid in iron. Until the time that his word came. The word of the Lord tried him.
Until the time that his word came. The word of the Lord tried him. So we get wrongfully convicted. Our brother Joseph was wrongfully convicted. Does wrongful convictions happen today?
More than ever.
Huh?
I said more than ever.
Let me share this article. It says, this article is from a couple years ago, March 10th, 2017, from Equal Justice Initiative. Innocent African Americans more likely to be wrongfully convicted. Okay. And this photograph is of Anthony Ray Hinton, spent 30 years on Alabama's death row for crimes he did not commit. 30 years of his life gone. Something he did not do. A new report from the National Registry of Exonerations found that African Americans convicted of murder are about 50% more likely to be innocent, and on average, African American exonerees waited 3 years longer before release from prison than whites. Race and wrongful convictions in the United States analyzes exonerations for murder, sexual assault, and drug crimes since 1989. Researchers report that innocent Black people are about 7 times more likely to be convicted of murder than innocent white people, and African Americans are more likely to be innocent if they are convicted of killing white victims. Many of the wrongful murder convictions of African Americans were affected by a wide range of types of racial discrimination, from unconscious bias and institutional discrimination to explicit racism. The convictions that led to murder exonerations with Black defendants were 22% more likely to include misconduct by police officers than those with white defendants. The data also show that a Black person incarcerated for sexual assault is 3.5 times more likely to be innocent than a white person convicted of sexual assault. On average, innocent African Americans convicted of sexual assault spent almost 4.5 years longer in prison before exoneration than innocent whites. Innocent Black people are about 12 times more likely to be convicted of drug crimes than innocent white people. Since 1989, more than 1,800 people have been exonerated after 15 large-scale police scandals in which officers systematically framed innocent people were exposed, and the overwhelming majority of the exonerees are African Americans. Of the many costs that the war on drugs inflicts on the Black community, the practice of deliberately charging innocent defendants with fabricated crimes may be the most shameful, said University of Michigan law professor Samuel Gross, the author of Race and Wrongful Convictions in the United States and senior editor of the Registry. For the 3rd year straight, the Registry found a record number of exonerations in 2016 and a record number of cases involving official misconduct. A record high of 166 exonerations was reported last year. In more of these exonerations than in any previous year, government officials committed misconduct. The convictions were based on guilty pleas. No crime actually occurred, and a prosecutorial conviction integrity unit works on the exoneration. While the number of conviction integrity units in the United States doubled from 2013 to 2016, half of the 29 units have never been involved in any exoneration. So this is even now what we are dealing with. This is even now what we are dealing with. Okay, write this, go to 1 Peter chapter 2, verse 19.
Book of 1 Peter chapter 2. Verse 19. For this is thankworthy if a man for his For this is thankworthy if a man for I For this is thankworthy if a man for conscience
toward God
endured grief, suffering wrongfully.
So the Bible says that this is thankworthy. And so I know, this doesn't necessarily sound good. You can spend 30 years in jail. You can spend 2 years in jail. You spend any amount of time for a wrongful conviction. That hurts. Psychologically, that hurts. Emotionally, that hurts. It hurts. But the Bible tells us, read it again.
For this is thankworthy if a man for conscience toward God endured grief, suffering wrongfully.
Suffering wrongfully. Go to Sirach, chapter 25, verse 7.
The book of Sirach, or Ecclesiasticus, chapter 25 and verse 7. There be 9 things which I have judged in my heart to be happy. And I will utter with my tongue. A man that had joy of his children, and he that liveth to see the fall of his enemy.
And he that liveth to see the fall of his enemy. That's sweet. You didn't spend any amount of time for a wrongful conviction, and you get to see your enemy take a fall. That becomes something that's like cotton candy. That becomes something like cotton candy. To see your enemy fall after they came at you and charged you with slander, lies, falsehood, and you maintained your integrity. Okay? Go to Psalms 35:19. Psalms chapter 35, verse 19.
Book of Psalms, chapter 35, and verse 19. Let not them that are mine enemies wrongfully rejoice over me.
Here's a prayer. So now we get into prayer. Okay, we saw some axioms, some principles with 1 Peter's and Sirach. Now here's a prayer for us to utilize when we experience in this kind of treatment. Read it from the top.
Let not them that are my enemies wrongfully rejoice over me, neither let them wink with the eye that hate me without a cause.
Neither let them wink with the eye that hate me without a cause. Lord, do something with that evil individual. Bring them down to the ground. That's the prayer. Go to Psalms 119, verse 86.
Book of Psalms 119. The book of Psalms, chapter 119, and verse 86. All the commandments are faithful.
All thy commandments are faithful.
Thy commandments are faithful. They persecute me wrongfully. Help thou me.
Help thou me, Lord. Help thou me. And we have to believe it. We have to believe that the Lord is going to help us. And we see the condition. It starts off, all thy commandments are faithful. So we see the condition. So let me make sure I line up with the commandments. Okay, Lord, help me. That becomes the prayer. Okay. Here's another trial, another case study, if you will, of a trial. And you can write this down. I just want to give up. I just want to give up. Okay. Go to Numbers, chapter 11, verse 15. This is Moses. We just looked at Joseph. Now we're going to see Moses.
The book of Numbers, chapter 11, verse 15.
Get a little closer to that microphone if you can, please. Say it again. Get a little closer to that microphone if you can, please.
The book of Numbers, chapter 11. The book of Numbers, chapter 11, and verse 15. If thou still thus with me, kill me, I pray thee, out of hand, if I have found favor in thy sight, and let me not see the wretchedness.
See my wretchedness. This is Moses. Moses is overwhelmed with all that's going on in his life, trying to lead the children of Israel out of captivity. And at every turn, Moses gives them a law. Don't do this. Keep the Sabbath day. Don't defile the Sabbath day by cooking food. And what happens? Here's a brother out picking up sticks. You know, don't come close to the sanctuary. What happens? They want to come to the sanctuary. What happens? There is Korah and them who have jealousy in their hearts. If God can talk to Moses, God can talk to us. You know, Moses ain't special. So Moses was dealing with all this nonsense, trying to lead his people out of captivity. Moses was like, look, I'm ready to give up. Kill me and take me away from this wretchedness, Father. Moses was ready to give up. Let me share this article. Actually, I want you to see a video.
Right.
And then we'll read an article.
Sadly, suicide rate CDC, a specific demographic has seen a significant increase.
Uh-oh. Is this Sharon?
Sound like it's breaking up.
Okay.
Shorted or something.
Let me try again.
Sadly, suicide rates for kids have increased across the nation. According to recent data from the CDC, a specific demographic has seen a significant increase in suicide rates.
WWA Celeste Smith joins us now with more. Good evening, Celeste. What do health officials say is driving this alarming trend?
Well, Jeff, according to the CDC's Statistics rapid release comparing suicide rates in 2019 and 2020, and the CDC's 2019 Youth Risk Behavior Survey comparing data from 2009 to 2019, there's been a consistent increase in suicides amongst Black youth. The CDC's Youth Risk Behavior Survey report.
Okay, so I'm going to read the rest of it. I'm going to read the rest of it. Bear with me. And this is this article was July 8th, 2022. This article is just now. Attempted suicide rates increase among Black youth. This is now. Wilmington, North Carolina. According to recent data from the CDC, a specific demographic has been seen a significant increase in suicide rates. In the CDC's Vital Statistic Rapid Release report comparing suicide rates in 2019 and 2020, and the CDC's 2019 Youth Risk Behavior Survey comparing data from 2009 to 2019, a 10-year period, there has been a consistent increase in suicides among Black youth. The CDC's Youth Risk Behavior Survey report comparing data from 2009 to 2019 says for kids ages 14 to 18, the total number who attempted suicide increased by nearly 3%. Out of that number, Black teens age 14 to 18 also saw a 3% increase in attempted suicides, the highest estimates for attempted suicides over the 10-year period. Local activist Sonia Patrick says the date is concerning. This is very concerning, and it definitely needs our attention because at one time, African Americans were unheard of in the Black community committing suicide, said Sonia Patrick. It goes on. CDC's Vital Statistics Rapid Release report compared suicide rates in 2019 and 2020, which showed a 26% change in the suicide rate for Black kids aged 10 to 14. Okay. We're going to go down here. This right here where it says, it might be that they perceive a lack of safety for themselves and the nation and in the community. And when we experience disconnect and we experience despair, that can lead to depression. And depression can lead to suicidal thinking, said Jennifer Myers, licensed psychologist. It goes on. Talking to your children and your teens about suicidal thinking will not make them try to kill themselves. It actually engage in action. When we recognize that our child is suffering, that they're more irritable, they're more tearful, they're more sad, reaching out for mental health help is critical, said Myers. Okay. So this is happening right now among our people. Thoughts of saying, Lord, I give up. I give up. I can't do it no more. Go to James chapter 1, verse 4.
Book of James, chapter 1 and verse 4. Let patience have her perfect work. They be perfect and entire, wanting nothing.
Wanting nothing. So in this passage, underline three things. Underline patience. Underline perfect. Underline wanting nothing. Patience, perfect, wanting nothing. That's James 1 and 4. Okay, go to James chapter 5, verse 7 through 11. James chapter 5. Go ahead.
The book of James, chapter 5. You say verse 11? 7, I'm sorry. 7. The book of James, chapter 5, and verse 7. Be patient, therefore, brethren, unto the coming of the Lord. The husbandman waited for the precious fruit of the earth, and had no patience for it, until he received the early and latter rain.
Until he received the early and latter rain. So all of this, we have to see things with our spiritual eyes. We have got to start seeing things with our spiritual eye. Well, Brother Michael, how am I supposed to see something with my spiritual eye? That's why these classes are extremely important. Because through these scriptures, I began to increase my spiritual understanding. I began to understand this thing about regeneration. I began to understand how we got in this mess to begin with. The children of Israel. How did we fall from such grace, such glory, when we were in our own land, having all kind of vegetables and all kind of goodness, when we had libraries that was larger than any library, when we had so libraries, intellectual centers. In other words, when we was on top, how did this happen? We failed. So here we are going through the process. And the Bible is telling us to be patient. Don't give in. Don't give up. Be patient. Because he's coming for the early and latter rain. Remember, the title of the class is After the Rain. Okay. Keep reading. Verse 8.
Verse 8. Be ye also patient. Establish your hearts. For the coming of the Lord draweth nigh.
Keep going.
So grudge not one against another. Brethren,
don't grudge against your brother. Why are you fighting with your brother? Make amends with your brother. And if your brother's unwilling to make amends with you, then you know what? Just go on, keep it moving, keep doing what you got to do in the spirit of the Most High. And pray for your brother.
That's right.
That your brother or sister get their mind right. That one day y'all can meet in the middle of the road again on peaceful terms and walk down the road together. with one objective in mind, to get the kingdom. Read on.
Grudge not one against another. Grudge not one against another, brethren, lest ye be condemned. Behold, the judge standeth before the door. Take my brethren, the prophets who have spoken in the name of the Lord, for an example of suffering, affliction, and of patience.
Read.
Behold, we count them happy which endure. Ye have heard of the patience of Job, and have seen the end of the Lord, that the Lord is very pitiful and of tender mercy.
See, the Lord is very pitiful and of tender mercies. So this is not going to endure forever. The hardships that we experience is not going to endure forever. Let the peace be the inner man within you. Let the peace be the inner man within you. Seek patience. Okay, go to Job chapter 17, verse 9.
The book of Job, chapter 17, in verse 9. The righteousness also shall hold on his way. And he that had clean hands shall be stronger and stronger.
And he that hath clean hands shall be stronger and stronger. After each iteration, you're going to grow. You're going to get stronger and stronger. You dealing with depression? Why are you dealing with depression? You don't have no friends? Go out and make some new friends. Go meet some people. And seek people that have a mind of the Lord. That have a mind of the Lord. Treat it like a job. Like how you would seek out a job, go out and meet some new friends. You're dealing with some depression. Okay. Go to Psalms chapter 40, verse 1.
The book of Psalms, chapter 40, verse 1. To the chief musician, a psalm of David. I wait patiently for the Lord.
I waited patiently for the Lord.
I waited patiently for the Lord, and he inclined unto me and heard my cry.
And he heard my cry. See there? Here's the promise of the Bible. Here's the promise of the word of God. Wait patiently that he will hear your cry. You crying out to him because you dealing with this, you dealing with that. You ready to throw in the towel? You ready to give up? Wait patiently. Keep yourself busy doing the work of the Lord in the meantime. And when your deliverance comes, don't stop doing the work. Don't stop doing the work. Keep doing that work. That you get stronger and stronger, as Job said. Go to Galatians chapter 6, verse 9.
The book of Galatians, chapter 6, in verse 9. And let us not be weary in well-doing.
Don't be weary in well-doing. You trying to help someone and they shoving you out. No, I don't want that. I don't want that flyer. Keep on keep it moving. They're not the friends for you anyway. They're not the friends for you. Read.
And let us not be weary in well-doing, for in due season we shall reap, if we faint not.
We shall reap it. There's a promise right there. That's a promise. You shall reap if you faint not. Brother Michael, how long does it take for the harvest to come in? I don't know. Some you can grow a tomato plant, and you can harvest tomatoes in a couple of months. So some seeds happen like that. But you grow a walnut tree from seed, it take you 25 years before you can start harvesting the fruit off a walnut tree. So how long will it take? I don't know, but be patient and do the work. Be patient and do the work. As long as that seed, as long as that tree, that plant is not showing death, keep doing the necessary things to provide the nutrients for that seed, for that tree, for that plant to get stronger and stronger. Be patient. Go to 1 Corinthians chapter 2, verse 6.
The book of 1 Corinthians.
Let me make sure I'm telling you right. Yeah, that's it. 1 Corinthians chapter 2, verse 6.
Right. The book of 1 Corinthians chapter 2 and verse 6. Howbeit we speak wisdom among them that are perfect. Yet not the wisdom of the world, nor of princes of this world that come to naught.
See, some of the things that we've spoken about already today in terms of solutions, that don't sound like wisdom. What you telling me to be patient? You telling me we read earlier. We was dealing with the wrongful conviction. I think. Oh, there it is. When we was dealing with the wrongful conviction, and we was reading 1 Peter chapter 2:19, where it says, "For this is thankworthy if a man for conscience towards," that don't sound like wisdom. I want to get revenge. Read this precept again in 1 Corinthians.
The book of 1 Corinthians, chapter 2 and verse 6. Howbeit we speak wisdom among them that are perfect. Yet
you
not
who are perfect, to you who is following the precepts, the laws, the commandments, the statutes and ordinances of this book, of the Holy Father, of what Christ taught. To you, what we are providing is wisdom. This is wisdom, patience, perfect. Okay? This is wisdom. Read on.
Yet not the wisdom of this world, nor of the princes of this world that come to naught.
Wisdom of Babylon, their wisdom, no. The wisdom you might glean from watching a CW episode, that was, because you watching Spider-Man or Flash, or that wisdom, nah.
Verse 7, I read verse 7.
This wisdom coming from the words of this book, thumbs up all day. But we have to apply it. Okay. All right, let's look at another case story. This one here, call this one the Almighty hath afflicted me. Or to say it even simpler, this is the doings of God. Whichever way you want to say it, the Almighty hath afflicted me, or this is the doings of God. Whichever way you want to say it. In other words, these trials that I'm experiencing, this is the work of God. These trials that I'm experiencing, this is the work of God. That's the basic point of what we're about to read. Go to Ruth, the book of Ruth, chapter 1. We're going to read verse 20 and 21.
Book of Ruth, chapter 1 and verse 20. And she said unto them, call me not Naomi.
Now watch this. Where it says, call me not Naomi, I want you to, in place of Naomi, I want you to write this word down. Write pleasant. Pleasant. Read again.
And she said unto them, call me not Naomi, call me Mara.
Now, in the place of Mara, I want you to write this word down. Bitter.
Bitter.
I want you to reread it with those words exchanged. For Naomi, I want you to say pleasant.
Right.
And for Mara, I want you to say bitter.
Got you.
Read.
She said unto them, call me not pleasant, call me bitter.
Call me bitter.
For the Almighty hath dwelt very bitter with me.
For the Almighty hath dealt very bitterly with me. Keep reading.
Verse 21. I went out full, and the Lord hath brought me home again, empty. Why then call ye me Naomi, seeing the Lord had testified against me, and the Almighty had afflicted me?
See there? She went out full, and we go out full. You get done with high school, you go off to college, and your mind is on cloud 9 with how you gonna conquer the world. 20 years later, life can beat the living crap out of you. You asking yourself, how did this happen? I'm supposed to be a superstar. I'm supposed to be the greatest basketball player ever. I'm supposed to be the biggest football player ever. How did this happen? All these business ideas that I had, all these gadgets and widgets I knew that I was going to sell, and I'm broke as a joke. How did this happen? In high school, I was the man. Couldn't nobody touch me. I had all the women centered around me. I was homecoming king and she was homecoming queen. How did this happen? I lost my wife. She died. I lost my wife. She ran off with another man. How did this happen? I went out full. Had to come back empty. went out full, had to come back empty. Okay, go to Job chapter 6, verse 4.
The book of Job, chapter 6 and verse 4. For the arrows of the Almighty are within me. Thy poison whereof drinketh.
The poison whereof.
Let me read that again. For the arrows of the Almighty are within me. The poison whereof I drinketh up my spirit. The terrors of God do set themselves in array against me.
The terrors of God do set themselves in array against me. I can't win. I can't win for losing. Why? Because the arrows of God are within me. The arrows of God are within me. I can't get up. I can't catch a break. I went to business school, and here I am flipping burgers and casting French fries in the hot grease, barely making minimum wage. I went to engineering school. I got a master's degree in engineering, and I'm homeless, living in a tent with my cardboard script, asking somebody to please donate $0.25 to me. The arrows of God are within me. Go to Lamentations. Go to Lamentations chapter 3, and we're going to read 1 through 20.
The book of Lamentations, chapter 3, and verse 1. I am the man that seen affliction by the rod of his wrath. He had led me and brought me into darkness, but not into light.
He brought me into darkness, and he didn't bring me into the light. I can't see. I'm trying every doggone thing. I can't see up. I can't see down. I can't see nothing. I don't understand what's going on. Read.
Surely against me is he turned. Turned his hand against me all the day. My flesh and my skin had he made old. He had broken my bones.
He has broken my bones.
He had built against me and compassed me with gall and travail.
With hard work. Read.
He had set me in dark places, as they that be dead of old. He had hedged me about, that I cannot get out. He had made my chain heavy. Also, when I cry and shout, he shutted out my prayer.
He don't even hear me. I've been crying out for the last 15 years. Lord, do you hear me? And I don't think he hear me, because I've been crying for 15 years. I've been crying for 30 years. He must not hear me. My situation hadn't gotten no better. He must not hear me. Read.
He had enclosed my ways with hewn stone. He had made my paths crooked. He was unto me as a bare lion in wait, and as a lion in secret places. He had turned aside my ways and pulled me in pieces. He had made me desolate.
He had made me desolate. How did I end up here? I lost Naomi. Naomi lost her husband. Naomi lost her 2 sons. How did I end up here? Why is it that I'm desolate? Read.
He had bent his bow and set me as a mark for the arrow. He had caused the arrows of his quiver to enter into my reins.
Into my reins, into my thoughts. Now I can't even escape the thoughts of what I'm dealing with. I'm in pain. My body aches. I don't get good rest at night. I have nightmares. I wake up making minimum wage, child support kicking my butt. What is going on? Read.
I was a derision to all my people, and their song all the day. He had filled me with bitterness. He had made me drunken with wormwood.
I became bitter. I can't, I try to make friends, but I can't make friends because they see my countenance and they don't want to be around someone that's bitter. I try to smile, but the smile is phony. I try to watch comedians on TV and I cry watching them. I can't even laugh watching the comedians. I get teary-eyed watching comedians. Read.
He had also broken my teeth with gravel stones. He had covered me with ashes. And thou hast removed my soul far off from peace.
He has removed my soul far off from peace. I'm not at peace. I yearn for peace, but it's not here. Read.
I forgave prosperity.
I forgot prosperity. I give up on it. For what? Read.
And I said, my strength and my hope is perished from the Lord. Remembering my affliction and my misery, the wormwood and the gall. Verse 20, my soul had them still in remembrance and is humbled in me.
And my soul is humble within me. It's humble. Become a humble man. I become a humble woman. Why? The hope that I had, it's come to nothing. Why hope anymore? Why hope anymore? Go to, nope, I want to share this article. Wait a minute, wrong article. Bear with me. Don't give up on me. Somebody talk.
What?
Somebody.
I got you, brother Mike. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
I want to talk on something real quick, and it's going back up to when we're talking about the thankworthy. 1 Peter chapter 2 and verse 19. I'm gonna go back there real quick. Y'all don't have to turn. I just want to read that. 1 Peter chapter 2 and verse 19. Is that it? My bad. That's not it. James. Nope. I want to go to James chapter 1 and verse 4. I can stay where you at. I'll go there. This is the book of James chapter 1 and verse 4. And it reads, but let patience have her perfect work, that ye may be perfect and entire, wanting nothing. And that stood out to me because when you have patience in dealing with the Lord is going to make you perfect as long as we keep his laws, statutes, and commandments. So that stood out to me really real strong because it says, let patience have her perfect work. That's the Lord dealing with you in all your messed up ways. And you studying, you focusing on the Most High, and you keep the law, statutes, and commandments, and doing that, he's going to make you perfect. And in him making you perfect, guess what? You're wanting for nothing, because the Most High is going to supply all your needs. I just wanted to go there real quick. You ready?
I got the article.
Okay.
I got the article. Right, because we're dealing with all these different things, okay? And we've seen how we're going through all this different affliction. All right. So now this article is comes from Reuters. It was published January 31st, 2017. African Americans suffer inordinate loss of parents, children, and siblings. Remember Naomi, she went out full, came back empty. Okay, so here's what it says. By the time they turned 10 years old, Black children born in the U.S. in the 1980s were 3 times more likely than white children to have lost their mothers and twice as likely to have lost their fathers, a new study shows. Lead researcher Deborah Umberson imagines the grieving children and the far-reaching repercussions of their losses when looking at her study's broader findings compared to white individuals. Black people born between 1900 and 1984 had to cope 4 more often with the death of their parents, siblings, and even their children earlier and throughout their lives. It's a national crisis, she said in a phone interview. The effects of these deaths reverberate throughout these communities. Umberson, a sociology professor at the University of Texas at Austin, and her team compared national statistics for Blacks and whites between 1900 and 1965 and between 1980 and 1984. The findings point to the spiraling damage of racial disparities. The authors write in the proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences. Blacks born from 1900 through 1965 were twice as likely as whites to have lost their mothers and 50% more likely to have lost their fathers by the age of 20, the study found. By age 60, they were nearly twice as likely to have lost a spouse and 50% more likely to have lost a sibling. I'm almost 60. I have never lost anyone, said Umberson, who is white. One of the statistics that startled her most was the racial disparity for child loss. Blacks born in the 1980s were 2.5 times more likely to have lost a child by age 20 than whites, the study found. Blacks born from 1900 to 1965 were more than 3 times more likely to have lost a child between the ages of 50 and 70. All of these losses are very scary. It's parents losing children. It's children losing parents. And it's altering the families these people come from, she said. Jocelyn R. Smith Lee, a psychology professor at Marist College in Poughkeepsie, New York, has seen the toll of grief and loss on young men she interviewed in Baltimore. The study echoes and affirms what young Black men have been communicating to me is happening in their daily lives, she told Reuters Health. They grapple with the loss of their relatives and friends, and they often see death that they fear for their own lives, Lee said. A 19-year-old man in East Baltimore told her, "It's a lot of work to keep your life." The news media have reported on the disproportionate number of Black men killed on the streets, Umberson said. But Blacks die even more frequently from illness. I think it's extraordinarily important that we draw attention to the race difference in homicide, Umberson said. Violence is a leading cause of death. It's a big deal, but others are even bigger. Cancer, diabetes, heart disease, prenatal conditions contribute to more of the race difference in life expectancy than homicide, she said. Previous studies have shown that mourning increases the risk for mental and physical illness, and the consequences may be particularly rough and lasting for grieving children and young adults, the authors write. Often, when children return to school after experiencing the death of a mother, father, sister, or brother, the teachers have no idea, Umberson said. The kid is just, this kid just comes back and starts acting out, she said. Umberson and Lee both called for programs to help teachers, doctors, and others to identify children who are in grief and to provide needed support. Some of the young men Lee interviewed in Baltimore told her she was the first person who talked to them about the violence they confront daily. One youth told her he expected to die before he turned 25. When she interviewed him again, he had passed the milestone. He rode up to meet her in a wheelchair. He'd been shot in both legs during a robbery just past his 25th birthday. So this is what we're dealing with. I'm going to show another one. I want to show another article. Okay. Now this article is December 2019. Okay, December 2019. African Americans face systematic obstacles to getting good jobs. Naomi went, she went out full. She came back, lost everything. Lost everything. Everything was gone. Despite an improved labor market, Black Americans still can't obtain well-paying, stable jobs with quality benefits. You know, to be able to go and go to the dentist and have your teeth cleaned. To be able to go and check out what the lump is under your arm, what the lump is under your breast. You don't have the benefits. Okay. This is anywhere. Pedestrian passes in front of shuttered house in Omaha, Nebraska on a cloudy evening Thursday, May 3rd, 2018. This is Anywhere USA. We can find this here in St. Louis.
Mm-hmm.
Start right here with the article. The U.S. labor market has now seen a record 109 months of uninterrupted job growth, with the overall unemployment rate falling to its lowest level in 50 years. However, African American workers still face more hurdles to get a job, never mind a good one. That's heavy right there. He says, never mind a good one. The ones with benefits, the ones that pay enough to pay the bills, pay the utilities, pay the rent, pay for food, and even pay for the psychological freedom. Meaning, I want to take my wife to the movies. I want to take my wife out to dinner. No, I want to put some gas in the car so that I can take my wife on a joy ride. Let me continue. It says, never mind the good one than their white counterparts. They continue to face systematically higher unemployment rates, fewer job opportunities, lower pay, poorer benefits, and greater job instability. These persistent differences reflect systematic barriers to quality jobs, such as outright discrimination against African American workers, as well as occupational segregation, whereby African American workers often end up in lower paid jobs than whites, and segmented labor markets in which Black workers are less likely than white workers to get hired into stable, well-paying jobs. Despite African American workers having increased access to jobs and actually getting more jobs, labor market outcomes, including higher unemployment and fewer good jobs, continue to be worse for African American workers and their families. These differences are not new, and the longest labor market expansion on record has not eliminated them. African Americans have always been more vulnerable in the labor market. They regularly experience higher unemployment rates and work in worse jobs, which feature lower pay and fewer benefits than whites. Moreover, they tend to work in jobs that are less stable than those held by white workers. For example, African American workers often see their unemployment rates go up sooner than white workers when the economy sours, and their unemployment rates also take longer to decline when the economy improves than is the case for whites, a phenomenon often described as last hired, first fired. Moreover, unemployment Black workers look longer to find and secure a new job than do white workers. The labor market experience for African Americans has historically been worse than that for whites, and this continues today. There are several factors that have contributed and continue to contribute to this. These include repeated violent oppression of African Americans, such as the riots that destroyed Black business owners' wealth on the Black Wall Street in Tulsa, Oklahoma in 1921, codified segregation, legal racial terrorism during the almost century-long period from Reconstruction to the Civil Rights era, systematic exclusions of African Americans from better paying jobs, and continued occupational segregation. Despite notable improvement, today's Black workers still have a harder time than whites securing good employment. For Black women, the intersection of race and gender bias has had a combined effect on their labor market experiences, too often devaluing their work and confining their opportunities. Okay? For Black women, the intersection of race and gender bias has had a combined effect on their labor market experience. right? So here we go. To close these persistent labor market gaps, African-American families need more wealth to begin with. Wealth makes it easier for families to invest in their own futures. For example, wealth can be used to support both children's and parents' education, to start a business, to buy a house in the neighborhood with access to good jobs, and to move to new places when better opportunities arise. Each of these benefits gives families access to more and better jobs. People with a college degree typically have lower unemployment rates and greater access to well-paying, stable jobs with decent benefits. Starting a business gives people more control over their own lives and thus the potential to avoid the uncertainty that can come from working for somebody else in a low-paying job with irregular hours. And buying a house closer to where good jobs are located makes it easier to switch jobs when one does not pan out as expected. Similarly, wealth allows families to move to new location when jobs in one area decline or disappear altogether. Having less wealth makes all these benefits much harder to achieve for African Americans. Okay, and I'm gonna stop it right there. The article goes on. Okay, and we see some figures. The unemployment rate has fallen to a 50-year low. Okay, here it is, 3.6% October 2019. And here we are. The unemployment rate 5.2%, 2.8% is the difference, the comparable difference. 5.2% versus 2.8% unemployment. Okay. Black workers experience higher unemployment rate than across multiple categories. And so we can see these charts. Pull up this article and take a look at it for yourself. Okay. All right. Let me stop. Go to Hebrews chapter 12, verse 11. Hebrews chapter 12, verse 11.
The book of Hebrews chapter 12 and verse 11. Now, no chastening for the present seemeth to be joyous, but grievous. Nevertheless, afterward it yielded the peaceable fruit of righteousness unto them which are exercised thereby.
Remember, we said already. So, and howbeit we speak wisdom among them that are perfect. So this chastising that comes on us, no, it doesn't feel good. It doesn't. It does not feel good. Read it again.
This is the book of Hebrews, chapter 12 and verse 11. No chastening for the present seeming to be joyous, but grievous.
It feels terrible to have to be chastised. Read.
Nevertheless, afterward it yielded the peaceable fruit of righteousness.
Afterwards, because we said you gotta be patient. You gotta be patient. Afterwards, read on.
Unto them which are exercised thereby.
Start from afterward. Start from afterward.
Afterward, it yielded the peaceable fruit of righteousness unto them which are exercised thereby.
Unto them which are exercised thereby. if you're going to exercise these laws, after a while, the fruits, they grow on the tree. They grow on the plant. The fruits come. After a while. After a while, it might be 2 months. Here comes the tomato. The fruit comes. The cucumber comes. After a while. Might take 25 years. Here comes the walnut. And like with a walnut, guess what? You get that tree to grow right, that tree will last 250 years. So what are we trying to say? You get the spirit in you right, it lasts for eternity. It lasts for eternity. Go to Psalms 119, 165. Psalms chapter 119, verse 165.
119, 165. The book of Psalms 119 and verse 165, right?
Yes, sir.
All right, here we go. And it reads, great peace have they which love thy law.
Say that again. Read that again.
Great peace have they which love thy law.
Which love thy law. Which love thy law. Read on.
And nothing shall offend them.
Nothing shall offend them. You going through this chastening, it's not going to offend you. It don't feel good, but your hope and faith is in the promises of the Lord. Your hope and faith is in the promises of the Lord. Your car broke down. You're going through. You got to call somebody. You got to go rent a car, and you got to do public transportation. It don't feel good, but your faith is in the promises of the Lord. Go to, okay, that was it. That was it. Okay, I want to now write this down. Write this down. Joy cometh in the morning. Joy cometh in the morning. Go to Psalms chapter 30, verse 5.
Call it again, please.
Psalms chapter 30, verse 5.
This is the book of Psalms, chapter 30, and verse 5. For his anger endured but a moment. Favor is light. Weeping may endure for a night, but joy cometh in the morning.
But joy cometh in the morning. Weeping may endure for a night, but joy cometh in the morning. Okay? So it says for a night. Let's deal with that. For a night. Okay? Weeping may endure for a night. Go to Psalms 103, verse 9.
Psalms 103,
verse 9.
The book of Psalms, chapter 103, in verse 9. He will not always chide, neither will he keep his anger forever.
So it says he will not always chide. Let's look that word up. Let's look that word up, chide. Okay.
Chide, rebuke.
Hold on a second.
Oh.
All right. Go ahead. You can read that for me.
I can't. Come on.
Okay, I'll read it. I got it. I
was reading it off my phone.
It says chide, to express disapproval of, to scold, to reproach, to harass, to nag, to impale, or the like by chiding, or to scold or reproach, to find fault. Okay, so this is what it means to chide. This is what it means to chide. Okay, read Psalms 103 verse 9 once again.
The book of Psalms, chapter 103 and verse 9. He will not always chide.
He will not always scold you. He will not always reproach you. He will not always find fault with you. Read from the top.
It's the book of Psalms, chapter 103 and verse 9. He will not always chide, neither will he keep his anger forever.
Neither will he keep his anger forever. Go to Isaiah chapter 54, and we're going to read verse 7 and 8. I'm still dealing with for a night. We've been making for a night. Isaiah chapter 54, verse 7 and 8.
This is the book of Isaiah chapter 54 and verse 7. For a small moment have I forsaken thee, but with great mercies will I gather thee.
Look at that. He says, but with great mercies will I regather thee. Will I gather thee? Not regather, but gather thee. Read on.
Verse 8. In a little wrath I hid my face from thee for a moment, but with everlasting kindness will I have mercy on thee. Said
that's like Lord, when you was a little child, and you got into a fight with another little child, and you was hoping that your mama or your daddy would come and break it up, but instead your mama said, you better get back out there. And they stood in the door and watch you either take a licking or give a licking. He says, in a little wrath, I hid my face. I hid my face. That's like your parents standing behind the screen door while you out there fighting. And you're like, come help me. Come save me. Until you learn how to, those hands. He says, but with everlasting kindness will I have mercy on thee, saith the Lord thy Redeemer. Okay. Go to 2 Corinthians chapter 4, verse 17.
The book of 2 Corinthians chapter 4 and verse 17. For our light affliction, which is but for a moment, worketh for us a far more exceeding and eternal weight of glory.
Far more eternal weight of glory. This light affliction, you out there, You out there fighting against the world. And you just little bitty dude or little bitty girl, you know, whatever. You're like, what is this? You let me out here to fight. You hid your face from me. Read it again.
The book of 2 Corinthians, chapter 4 and verse 17. For our light affliction, which is but for a moment.
This is only for a moment. This fight that you having is only for a moment. This trouble that you're going through is only for a moment. This hardship that you're experiencing, it's only for a moment. Read.
Working for us a far more exceeding and eternal weight of glory.
And this fight that you're going through, it worketh a far more exceeding and eternal weight of glory. You need this fight. You got to go through this fight. So just put the Vaseline on and put the gloves on and get on out there in the fight. That's why in 1 Peter 2:19, for this is thankworthy. This is thankworthy. Okay. Okay. Now, write this down. I'm dealing with Psalms chapter 30, verse 5. Now I want to deal with his anger. His anger endureth but a moment. His anger.
His anger.
Oh, no. Did I say that right?
You said his anger.
No. My bad. In his favor. That's what I'm after. Go back to the passage. Let's read the passage again. Psalm chapter 30, verse 5.
All right.
I'm so sorry.
Mm-hmm. You said Psalm.
Don't be mad at me.
We're not mad at you, Brother Michael. What'd you say? Psalms what?
Psalm chapter 30, verse 5.
103 and verse 9?
Psalms chapter 30, verse 5.
Okay, sorry about that. The book of Psalms, chapter 30 and verse 5. Bear with me. Sorry about that. Psalms chapter 30 and verse 5. For his anger endures but a moment, and his favor is life. Weeping may endure for a night, but joy cometh in the morning.
Okay, so I'm after the section where it says his favor is life. His favor is life. I want to go there. I want to build on that.
His favor.
His favor. In his favor. In his favor. Go to Psalms chapter 16, verse 11.
The book of Psalms, chapter 16 and verse 11. Thou wouldst show me the path of life.
Mm-hmm.
In thy presence is fullness of joy.
Thou will show me the path of life. So here I am. I'm bam, boom, bop, boom, bing. He'll show me. Here's what you got to do, son. Here's what you got to do. And in that is the presence his fullness of joy. The fullness of joy. Read it again from the top.
The book of Psalms, chapter 16 and verse 11. Thou wouldst show me the path of life. In thy presence is fullness of joy. At the right hand, there are pleasures for evermore.
At thy right hand, there are pleasures for evermore. Don't give up. Don't throw the towel in. Don't throw in the towel. Stay in that fight. Stay in there. It might hurt. Boom. Ah! Bing. Ah! After a while, you begin to see how to dodge them punches. You know, folks talking slander, talking ill about you. And whatever. And don't care. You dodging them punches. I see trouble right there. I'm gonna go this way. Let me take this path instead. You dodging the situations. Yeah, we can talk. Can we you don't mind we record this, do you? Yeah, let's record this. You dodging, you got safeguards in place. Okay. Take you home? No, I tell you what, let me get one of the sisters to give you a ride home. That might not be so wise. You don't necessarily say that out loud, but that might not be so wise for me to give you a ride home. Let me get one of the sisters to give you a ride home. Okay. Go to Psalms chapter 36, verse 7 and 9. 7 through 9.
The book of Psalms, chapter 36.
Let me get there.
Verse 7.
Go ahead.
How excellent is thy loving kindness, O God. Therefore, the children of men put their trust under the shadow of thy wings. Thou shalt be abundantly satisfied with fatness of thy house.
They shall be abundantly satisfied. Go on.
And thou shalt make them drink of the river of thy pleasures. For with thee is the fountain of light. In thy light shall we see light.
In thy light shall we see light. That's Psalms chapter 36, verse 7 through 9. Yeah. Right? Thou shalt make them drink of the river of thy pleasure. You're going to devour this word. You're going to hide in the secret place of the Most High. You're going to devour this word so that you can get an understanding, so that you know how to navigate in this thing called life. Okay? Go to Psalms 63, verse 3.
The book of Psalms, chapter 63, and verse 3. Because thy loving kindness is better than life, my lips shall praise thee.
My lips shall praise thee. I'm going to give you all the glory. Blink. Thank you, Lord. I got a black eye. It don't feel good. Blump. Oh, my shoulder, my ribs are bruised. Thank you, Lord. Thank you, Lord. I'm gonna give him all the glory and praise. I'm gonna give him all the glory and praise. Understanding, like my brother Joseph, what you meant for evil, God meant for good. What you meant for evil, God meant for good. Write this down. Write this down. Weeping. 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 Go to Psalms chapter 6, verse 6 through 9.
Say it again, Brother Michael.
Psalms chapter 6, verse 6 through 9.
The book of Psalms, chapter 6. Sorry about that. This is the book of Psalms, chapter 6, and verse 6. I am weary with my groaning. All the night make I my bed to swim. I water my couch with my tears.
I water my couch with my tears because I'm in pain. Yeah, this black eye don't feel good. Make me think of that movie Fight Club.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, they was intentionally getting the crap beat out of them. Dude was going to work with black eyes and so forth. You know, and here we are at night crying because of the pain that we go through. Okay, read on.
Mine eye is consumed because of grief. It waxeth old because of all my enemies. Depart from me, all ye workers of iniquity, for the Lord hath heard the voice of my weeping.
For the Lord hath heard the voice of my weeping.
Verse 9.
My enemies, get ready. Get ready. Because I'm crying at night. I'm crying in the day. I'm crying in the afternoon. Get ready. My enemies, get ready. Read.
Verse 9. The Lord had heard my supplication. The Lord will receive my prayer.
The Lord will receive my prayer. Okay? Oh, pray. Right? The Lord is going to fight my battles. I ain't gotta lay a hand on you. He's gonna take care of it. Go to Psalms 56, verse 8 through 11.
The book of Psalms, chapter 56 and verse 8. Thou tellest me wanderings.
Thou tellest my wanderings. Thou tellest my wanderings.
Thou tellest my wanderings. Put thou my tears into thy bottle. Are they not in thy book?
Are they not? God, don't you know about all these troubles I'm going through? It's in a book. Haven't you not written it down? Read.
When I cry unto thee, then shall mine enemies turn back. This I know, for God is for me.
This I know, for God is for me. For God is for me. Read. Is that it?
In God will I praise his word. In the Lord will I praise his word. Verse 11. In God have I put my trust. I will not be afraid what man can do unto me.
I will not be afraid. Okay? I'm going to cry, but I'm going to put all my trust in the Lord. Lord, please hear me. Go to Psalms 126, verse 5 and 6.
126 and verse 5 and 6.
Yes.
All right. The book of Psalms 126 and verse 5. They that sow in tears shall reap in joy. He that goeth forth and weepeth, bearing precious seed, shall doubtless come again with rejoicing. Bring his sheaves with him.
Bringing his sheaves. I'm going to do the work regardless. I'm going to do the work regardless. I'm going to give what I'm supposed to give to the Lord regardless. I'm going to bring whatever I can. Whatever is there, I'm going to bring it to the Lord and say, here you go, Lord. This is what I have to give, Lord. I'm going to give you the glory regardless.
You hear me?
Okay. Go to 2 Corinthians chapter 7, verse 9 and 10.
2 Corinthians chapter 7, verse 9 and 10. There's a book of 2 Corinthians chapter 7 and verse 9. Now I rejoice, not that ye were made sorry, but that ye sorrowed to repentance. Sorry. For ye were made sorry after a goodly manner.
After a godly manner.
Thank you. Sorry about that. After a godly manner, that ye might receive damage by us in nothing.
Look at that. He says, now I rejoice, not that ye were made sorry. I'm rejoicing because you came to a place, you were brought to a place of being humbled, being forced to say, I'm sorry. I regret. I wish I hadn't. He says, I'm not going, I'm not happy because you went through all that stuff, but I am happy because he says, but that ye sorrowed to repentance. And going through all that, guess what you did? You said, Lord, forgive me. And you turned and went in the opposite direction. You stopped being a murderer. You stopped being a whoremonger. You stopped being an idolater, worshiping birthdays and pagan holidays. You let that go, realizing that wasn't doing nothing but putting a wedge between you and the Most High. Now I rejoice, not that you were made sorry, but that ye sorrowed to repentance. That you sorrowed to repentance. Okay. Go to Hosea chapter 6, verse 3.
Can you call it one more time for me, Brother Michael?
The book of Hosea, chapter 6, verse 3.
Hosea chapter 6 and verse 3. Sorry about that. The book of Hosea, chapter 6 and verse 3. Then shall we know, if we follow on to know the Lord. His going forth is prepared as the morning, and he shall come unto us as the rain, as the latter and former rain unto the earth.
As the latter and former rain to the earth. He'll come. He's going to come. We will not be a dry tree anymore. We'll be full of the knowledge of the Lord. We'll be full of the mercies of the Lord. Okay? This is the promise that we live by. This is the promise that we live by. Now, on the other hand, you choose not to take the counsel that we are providing in this class. Write this down. Woe. W-O-E. Woe. You choose not to take the counsel that we're providing. Go to Sirach, chapter 2, verse 12 through 14.
All right, Sirach chapter 2, verse 12. It's the book of Sirach, chapter 2 and verse 12. Woe be to fearful hearts.
Woe be to fearful hearts.
Woe be to fearful hearts and faint hands.
And faint hands. Go ahead.
And the sinner that goeth two ways.
Read.
Woe unto him that is faint-hearted, for he believeth not.
He don't believe. He don't believe. This wisdom doesn't make sense to him. This wisdom is gibberish to him. Read.
Therefore shall he not be defended.
What? Say that again.
Therefore shall he not be defended.
You know what? You're going through this hardship, and you're going to keep going through this hardship. You're going to die in this hardship. With no glory on the flip side. Read.
Woe unto you that have lost patience.
You didn't hold on to patience. You let it go. You let patience go. Read.
And what will ye do when the Lord shall visit you?
Because he's coming. He's coming. It's promised he's coming. But you let it go. What will you do then? Read.
Verse 15. They that fear the Lord would not disobey his word.
I'm sorry. My apologies. I didn't realize where I was.
All right.
Go to Ezekiel. Ezekiel chapter 13, verse 3.
The book of Ezekiel, chapter 13, and verse 3. Thus saith the Lord God, woe unto the foolish prophets that follow their own spirit and have seen nothing.
And have seen nothing. You talk about, I found out that tithing is over.
Man, you took that right out of my mouth.
And have seen nothing. Read that again.
Thus said the Lord God, woe unto the foolish prophets that follow their own spirit and have seen nothing.
And have seen nothing. Woe unto you as well. Woe unto you.
Prosperity is what's going to get you into heaven. Bring all your tithe to the storehouse that I may keep it.
And have seen nothing.
They ain't seen nothing.
Go to Proverbs chapter 18, verse 2.
The book of Proverbs, chapter 18, in verse 2. A fool had no delight in understanding, but that his heart may discover itself.
But that his heart may discover itself. So all the desires of his heart, that's all he cares. You try to give him wisdom according to thus saith the Lord, a fool ain't gonna take heed. That doesn't fulfill, it doesn't align with the lust that he's consumed with. It doesn't align with the lust that he or she is consumed with. I just don't understand. Why can't I steal this bank? I break into this bank. And you try to give him wisdom. Hey, you ain't supposed to be trying to break into a bank. A fool ain't that understanding. He don't want to hear you. He's still trying to say, there's a way I'm a break into this bank. Go to Judith, book of Judith, in the Apocrypha, the book of Judith, chapter 16 and verse 17.
The book of Judah, chapter 16 and verse 17. Woe to the nations that rise up against my kindred. The Lord Almighty will take vengeance of them in the day of judgment.
Woo!
Fire and worms in their flesh. They shall feel them and weep forever.
And weep forever. And that's to all you, that's to all the nations, to the enemies that come against the elect, the children of Israel. Woe to you too, thus saith the Lord. Okay? Now, last thing, write this down. Weep for, F-O-R, weep for. Now I'm speaking to the elect for this last precept. I'm speaking to the elect. I'm speaking to they who are walking in the way, no matter what trials you may be going through today. You might not be going through any trials right now. This, I'm speaking to you. Sirach, chapter 22, verse 11.
Sirach, chapter 2 and verse 11.
Chapter 22, 22, verse 11.
This is the book of Sirach, chapter 22, in the Apocrypha, in verse 11. Weep for the dead, for he had lost the light, and weep for the fool, for he wanted understanding. Make little weeping for the dead, for he is at rest, but the life of the fool is worse than death. Whoa.
But the life of the fool is worse than death.
Gotta read that again.
We are admonished to weep for the dead.
That's deep.
Shed a tear for the dead. But then don't just continuously shed a tear for the dead, because the dead is dead. Shed a tear for the fool. Continue to weep for the fool, because his life is worse than death.
Yeah, that's deep.
And with that, we say shalom. Most High in Christ bless. Once again, make sure that you like this video, share this video, subscribe to the channel, reach out to us so that you can help us, partnership with us to build the kingdom of God, to bring about the kingdom of God in these last days. Shalom, Most High in Christ bless to each and every last one of you.
That was a slam of the mic.